Are you struggling with delegation? This is Monday. It's the morning. It's a lovely sunny day here in Deal in Kent in the UK. I'm in my garden. It is episode, let me think, 206 of the Marketing for Owners podcast. That's a lot. But the reason I managed to do so many of these is because I can delegate. Now, if you're the typical, I'm pretty sure this is common, the type A personality, the type who wants to do everything, who needs to make sure everything is going to be just so. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be right, and it's got to be done the way you want it. Then you are going to try and do everything. And that means eventually, if you're not already doing it, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to be your own, you're going to get in your own way. You are going to become the problem that you won't even realize you have. You need to learn to delegate. But it's not easy. It is a skill. And it's something like with a lot of things. It's something that you do once, you do again, and you get better, and you get better. Now, another thing with delegation is that delegation is not necessarily outsourcing, right? On internet, in running a business on from home, online, you'll hear a lot about outsourcing. But personally, I think outsourcing is something else. So you would tend to outsource tasks to a specialist that you don't necessarily have a relationship with on freelance sites such as freelancer.com, Fiverr, what was called Elance, which is now called upwork.com. But things like that, you can outsource a task. That's not the same as delegating. Delegating, in my mind, is when you give the task to somebody who is a member of your team, right? You delegate it off to somebody else who is a member of your team so you can get on with something that's better use of your time. When you outsource tasks, they quite often tend to be one-offs. You might not go back there again. So, my tip for better delegation is not to just tell the person what you want them to do, but to actually have them do something that they want to do, that they want to help you with. So that means it's a two-way thing. You need to talk to them. Now, if you're, if that person is not local, you can't actually sit down over a cup of coffee or around a table and actually talk to them, get them on Skype, get them on the phone, but have a meeting and make sure the meetings are two-way, okay? So explain, first of all, what the problem is. And the problem is your problem. Do not be shy. Don't think, oh gosh, I can't tell them. Be transparent. People like real people, okay? They like people to be genuine. So be transparent and explain what your problem is. It's much easier to get people on your side when you can explain the why, when they can understand the reasoning behind it. Then it doesn't become an order or an instruction in quite the same way as other things do. So explain why it's getting in your way and explain why it's important that this needs to be done. And then say, I'd like you to take this off my hands if you can. And then ask them, is that something they would be able to help with? Then have the discussion, the two-way discussion. Explain how you like to do it, and then say, how would they like to do it? Now, something very important as well is you need to give people freedom. If you are asking somebody else to do something for you, they don't necessarily need to be told exactly how you would do it. They can be told how the process or the standard process, but it may be helpful if you ask them to follow the process and improve it. Because remember, you're possibly doing it the way you think it should be done. Somebody else may have a better idea. You may not have asked. So ask for it to be improved. But remember, get that two-way discussion going and come to an agreement. The next thing is to agree a deadline. Right. Ask, when do you think you could have this done by? What's a fair time? I generally, I need it done by, but what works for you? You'll be surprised how often someone will say, I can do that this afternoon. Be surprised. So agree a deadline and then be noting this down. Say, so can I delegate this task to you? Can I give you a summary of what we've agreed? Is that okay? This is not then instructing. This is delegating. The person has agreed. You have had a two-way discussion and you've agreed between yourselves. This is much, much better than being a tyrant. The other thing is that person will respect you for your management skills. Believe me, people like effective managers. People do not like to work for wishy-washy managers, call them managers. Same with many things in life. People respect strong management, and strong management is effective management, okay? So this process works. We've used this for years. This came from the E-Myth, in actual fact, from a course we did, and it works. We use it all the time. We write down when we delegate and get people to actually sign. People in my business, in the fire safety business, where they're in the office, everyone, all parties involved will get to sign and agree, like a little agreement on the delegated task. And then their manager can come back to them on the deadline and go over it and how it was done. Over time, quite often these delegated tasks then become permanent delegations. It's a permanent part of their job. That's how it works. I recommend that you try it. You really, really should, because once you've done this, so much weight lifts off your shoulders. If you don't have a team, get an assistant. Get somebody to do a couple of hours of a week, half a day a week, a couple of times a week, whatever it is. Find an assistant. Start with somebody, see how you get on. There are many, many virtual assistant services. These people are fantastic. Okay, it's what they do for a living. Remember that. Try it. This will expand your business. Do you think Richard Branson doesn't delegate? I've never seen him flying his planes, driving his trains. No. Okay, remember, this is something that will become a talent. You just got to get started. Okay. I did mention it's a Monday. That means we have a book for the week. Now, this is a classic. I believe, or it says on the title, that at least 20 million of these have been sold. I'm sure it's many, many more. And it's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Unfortunately, Stephen Covey passed away. I think it was last year, but his son continues with the business. It is very effective. Now, the 7 habits, of course, they studied successful people and he figured out the 7 habits. I'm not going to tell you what they are because you're going to have to read the book. But you should. It's on one of those these should be read lists. My favourite, habit number 5, I will tell you, is seek first to understand, then to be understood. And that's quite often the way I run my business. I need to know how something works so that I can then explain to somebody else how I want it done. That's the way I work. Many others are different, but that works for me. Okay? I don't necessarily need to have done it or to be an expert at it. I just need to get the gist. So for instance, I know the general things of search engine optimization. Do I do it myself? No, I can instruct others what needs to be done. It's a fabulous book. I strongly recommend it. I'd love to know what you think. Just send me an email. get on the website marketingforowners.com. You'll be able to get in touch with us from there. See you tomorrow.